Hello and welcome to another video or podcast, depending, of course, whether you are watching or listening. And if you are watching or listening to this at the time of release in early January, then I just want to say Happy New Year. I hope that 2025 brings lots of good things for you. And this is also a timely episode in many ways because this is part 4 of my discussion with Asa from Forest School Support. So if you haven't listened or watched the other ones, it'll either be previous episodes on the podcast or there'll be a link to a playlist below the YouTube. But essentially, we've gone through the whole process of talking about structuring the business, talking about really starting to define what our rates are, what we hope to earn in a day, and then we started talking a bit about pricing. And this is where point in the conversation where we really get into the depth of the specifics with pricing, and you'll basically see what my model is going forward. You'll see we'll talk specifically about the numbers that I use, and we go into detail on how to design pricing and work things out in a way that you can move things forward in your business and have money to be able to continue running the business for many years to come. So if you're looking at raising your rates or looking at changing your pricing or changing your pricing model, this is a really good one to listen to. With that, I'm just gonna jump straight in now. So here's the part 4 of my call with Asa.
Yeah, my first thought about the £15 price tag for 2 hours. I love thinking about pricing in brackets. Um, so, for example, people that are happy to pay £3 for a bar of chocolate are probably happy to pay £5. But people that want to pay less than £1 are going to be really angry when it goes over £1. And we all have different expectations of how much different things are worth, whatever it might be. Everyone has their own kind of tiers in their head of what's valuable. But I think when we're talking about like uh, £15 for 2 hours, I think this is not kind of thinking about your customers. I'm thinking about people in general. Probably would be willing to pay £20 for something that cost 15. Probably. And this is just to kind of any work you do with pricing, just have that in mind, that actually the price that you set probably is completely fine for it to be a bit more expensive, like no issues whatsoever. So it's just keeping that in mind with the kind of the work and thinking about stuff. And then obviously the more value you throw in and the more you add, then the more you can raise the price. But I think like a £15 thing, people are happy to pay £20. With mine, my consultation that I did, when I moved from a 1 hour model to an action plan model that was more open ended, I charged £75 for the first few customers that came to that. And then I thought, actually, if you're happy to pay 75, you're probably happy to pay 99. And I moved from £75 to £99 with no complaints whatsoever, at all. No one was like, hang on, but that's, everyone was happy just to carry on. And then now I've grown it and grown it and grown it and added more value in. So now it's much more expensive, but I could have happily stayed at £75 because it was like, great, I'm making £75, but now I'm making an extra £25 for no extra work. So yeah, I think when you're thinking about like the raw base price of your forest school session, think about all those extra little margins we talked about. How do you make admin days pay? How do you do client financed acquisition from what you're doing and everything? The kind of base price of what you charge. Think about that bracket of like, okay, in my head, what would I be happy to pay? If I'm happy to pay this, what extra would I be happy to pay? Because £20 is a big one. 25 is definitely too much when we think about it. To me, it is at least. £20 seems okay, but most certainly £19, £18, 17.50, 16.50, whatever it might be, all those little tiny things will add up over the whole year when you've got so many kids booking on and such good volume and such good booking. So you can see what works for you with the pricing. Yeah, but it's just to think of it like that, with the as a base price, and then I'm now going to show you some other thoughts I have about it beyond the base price. And the other lens I would look at as well, I don't like to do market research to copy. I never ever do that. And I always challenge every single post I see in my Facebook group that's like, what does everyone charge for this? And then I see on their website that they've set the price that everyone said in the comments. But I think there is a value to market research for knowing what other people are charging, but also more of a lens of what other customers are willing to pay for a similar thing. And also um, uh, working out how you are better than your competition. So a good example of this is a forest school leader that I consulted with in Derbyshire. There was other forest schools around her, quite a few other forest schools within like catchment area, but the main one that was in her immediate area, she observed their social media, their offer, what they had on their website, everything. They didn't have any space for free play in what they did. So she really leaned into we have free play, child-led free play, learner-centered free play, like all her marketing, all her social media, all her everything she talks about. We have free play, we have free play, we have free play. And she's now bookings from that because she did market research, saw something that the competition didn't have, and made a big deal about the fact that she did have it. And in the same way, it might be worth you looking at the other prices of other forest schools, of other home education activities of a similar duration and like level of equipment and preparation needed. And things like that, just to see, because it might be that you think, actually, I can squeeze out a few more pounds here because I've got more than this, and you can make a big deal about it when you're marketing it as well. Does that make sense?
Yeah, yeah, I am quite aware of what other people are going on, and
Yeah.
I'm significantly more expensive, and but I also know that I do provide that extra value in terms of, like I said during the exploratory call, it's a lot more hands-on tools, fires, knots. There's a lot more expertise.
Yeah, that's good. And you do lead into that, in what you talk about, and you've got a very good brand and you've got a good website and everything. So that all goes in in the benefit side. So as I was saying before, I would lose the £13 discount as it stands. I'm going to explain that in a second. And the £8 discount I said to lose, but I understand your rationale behind the photos. Maybe change it to £10. Maybe,
I
maybe,
was
maybe.
thinking that I was
Yeah.
thinking that as well. Especially if the main price moves up to 15, it just makes more sense to hear about that.
Yeah. Yeah. So I think maybe tweak that to a tenner. We'll talk a bit in a little while about how to tell your customers you're raising the price. And I can recommend some fantastic articles and videos and podcasts about that subject as well. But one way to do it that I would see very good, a bit like we were just saying about the amount of photography and stuff you have, is actually put the photography thing on hold for a couple of months. Say, actually, I don't have a need for photography at the moment, so you just leave it and then bring it back. You could offer it to the same people or new people or whatever it might be, but have a slightly higher price on it. I think that, at £2 a session, every session, if there's just one person to make the photography, that still adds up over the year. So that was my initial thoughts there. And about the £15 people are probably willing to pay 20 for a 2-hour session, and definitely everything below. And then my new way of discounting that I would like to propose to you is that we want to incentivize bulk pricing. And this is I'm floating this to you as someone that doesn't know your customers, doesn't know their financial situation, doesn't know the kind of circumstances in which they pay and they book on. And it sounds like not many people that come to you book several sessions at once. Is that right?
No, the opposite.
Yeah, they
So,
pay just one off. Oh.
so the Wednesday forest school and bushcraft sessions, the discount is for the block book of block booking of the four weeks.
Yeah.
And the majority of people choose that.
They do choose that. Okay, that's good. Yeah. So that leans well into what I'm thinking. So you've done quite a lot of marketing reading, so you've probably come across a bit the concept of price anchors. Have you come across that?
Yeah.
Yeah. So for example, if I'm selling something for £1,000, it's really good just above it to have something for sale for £5,000. And then when they look down the list, they can see, oh, that thing's 5,000, but this thing I want is only 1,000. Like, it's amazing. It's amazing psychologically how it works. And this plays into price anchoring a little bit. So let's say, for example, what was the example I wrote down here? Yeah. So let's say that you change the price of your forest school to £20 a session. As an illustrative example, and let's say that you can bulk price it however you like. You can do 4 weekly, you can do 6 weekly, you can do seasonally, you could do monthly, you could do so many different ways of bulk pricing, however you like. 6 weekly seems to be the most common one in forest schools that I see. But I have also seen people very successfully do a whole term, a whole half term, a whole half a year, whatever it might be with the bulk pricing. Now, for this example, just because it's easy to illustrate, I'm going to do 12 months. So let's assume that your home ed parents, you run 52 weeks of sessions. So you do 52 sessions a year with this group. Let's assume. And it's £20 a session. So the first thing they see when they book on is that a year of forest school is £1,040. That doesn't actually sound like that much. When you package it that way and you say 12 months of forest school, 52 sessions is only £1,040. And that's our price anchor. So that's 20 times 52. And then from there, when we're booking people on, you can do step down thing. So you've price anchored at the top, and that's the most expensive it will ever be. The price they see at the top is the top they can pay, which is the cost of paying. And then from there, you can then step down different incentives based on the behavior that you want from the customer. So so again, I don't think that you should advertise a whole year of forest school, because I don't think parents at any one time have a year's worth of care activities money to splurge.
Yeah.
But using this example because it's easy to visualize, you quote them £1,040 for the year, or that's what it says on the website. It's year-long payment. That's great for you. It's cash in the pocket. It's everything. You've got the money to do different things, invest in different things, buy kit, do whatever. So they can pay the whole year on a session, 52 weeks, £1,040. Now, if we imagine that someone's contacted you and they say, I'm really happy to do that. I'm really interested in booking Timmy in. And you say, that's fantastic. Hey, because it's an annual thing and it really benefits me as a forest school leader to have the cash for the year. If you pay today, I'll give you a 25% discount. So all of a sudden, right before their eyes, £1,040 is £740. So you've just saved them £250 just by saying, if you pay today, 740 quid for the whole year of forest school. Forest school you run, all the photos, however you choose to sell it or package it. This is the full price. Oh, I can't afford to pay everything today. You can pay half today, and I'll give you a 10% discount. So it will be so the 25% discount option was £15, which I think should be your new discounted rate, I think. So that could be an option for that. And then they say, I can't afford that. So you say, okay, but you can pay half to that if that's affordable. That works, say, £18 a session. And then you just have to pay me 12 quid a month after this point. Again, that sounds really, really appealing. So I pay 900 quid today, and then it's not 900 quid, it would be 450 quid, sorry. It's half price, of course. So it would be £450 today, and then just £12 a month to top up cost of the sessions. So then that sounds really appealing to sell. And if they still can't pay that, then you say that's fine. Weekly payment plan. So it's just 80 quid a month or whatever it might be to pay. So the discount isn't for 4 weeks anymore. The discount is for the year. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm good. Yeah, it's good. It's a lot to chew on, but I'm getting the basic concept there that essentially you say, okay, well, the longer you book for and the more money you put up front, the bigger the discount. But then it's also anchoring it against that, okay, this is what you would have been paying had you gone for the most difficult option.
Yeah, that's exactly it. And I think it's just interesting to have that in the mind, because I think those illustrative examples look really, really good to see. And you think, actually, isn't it crazy that £20 for a 2-hour forest school session once a week sounds expensive? But when you hear it's only £1,000 for a year's worth of forest school, that sounds quite good. I think in my head, that sounds great. And I would happily pay £1,000 for 2 hours in the woods with an instructor every week.
Yeah, especially, I mean, the Woodland Ways run a Woodlander that's similar, don't they?
Yeah, I did it. Yeah, Woodland Weir is fantastic. Yeah, and that's even more expensive. That's 1,500 quid a year, isn't it? For one weekend a month.
Yeah.
It's a really good course that I recommend it. And then and it just means that you're incentivizing taking the cash up front, which is really good for you as what will be a working dad with a mortgage and everything else. You've got cash. There's always cash on hand. You have the money at the beginning of the year. You can see what your financial situation looks like for the whole year. And it just means that you have you have opportunities. And if someone can't pay any kind of money up front, whether it's paid in full today, paid half today, paid a quarter today, however you want to do it, you can still give them some kind of discount for being on a payment plan. So you have a guaranteed 80 quid a month or something from them, whatever it might be. But you could advertise the whole year, maybe to your home ed parents. That would be great, because they're likely to attend for the full year, not for 52 weeks, of course. It might be that it's better for you to do a similar thing with numbers 6 weeks at a time, 2 months at a time, 3 months at a time, whatever it might be, so that you can have cash on hand to do stuff. And if we pair this with having really good marketing and really good acquisition of customers through your marketing, then actually you've got money up front that you essentially know will bring in more customers if you have a really good marketing system. And that's down the road as well. But it's just I think it could be a really good way to change your pricing, because I see so much stuff of people saying, you book 5 sessions, the first one's free. You do this and you get this. You book 6 at a time, you get 25% off. And it's a constant flow of admin from your point of view, instead of taking it for a big chunk of time up front. And also, it doesn't sound like that good a deal always. I think some of the ways that they word it, it's like a discount isn't always like, well, why are you giving me a discount if I've only just thought about booking on? But actually, with this model, you get the discount for the fact that you pay in full, rather than just for the fact that you book on. So it's a different. It's amazing how how it can change your perception and the value and everything. So that was my thought for you, is actually, if we change the price to 20 quid in an example, and we move the pricing model to one that incentivizes paying in bulk, I would say, from your point of view with home editors, you could even have a 3 months, 6 months, 12 months option. So your people that have already been with you for 2 years, you could say, hey, I'm changing my pricing. If you want to pay 12 months up front for the new pricing, I'm going to honor the price that you paid for the last year, or something like that. The people will be with you for the long haul. And then you can see with others what kind of works best for them. And you could have, if you book 3 months up front, it's 10% off, which actually is a lot of money when you look at numbers in a big way. those discounts get a lot bigger. 10% off £300 looks a lot better than 10% off £15, a session. Or so yeah, that's one thing to do. And also you could have, then if you pay for 6 months, it's half price. If you pay for 1 year, it's 60%. I don't know. We have to work it all out with the business, but you get what I mean. It's incentivizing paying in full, basically.
Yeah,
and it's
that's
anchored in.
good. I'm
Yeah.
I'm looking forward to plugging that into calculators and seeing.
Yeah, I want to plant that seed with you, because I think, especially with the home ed community, if they're really happy with you and you're doing great service and they love the sessions and they're really happy to support you, and it's something they'll do long term, this is a great opportunity to plug in those long term prices. Yeah. Yeah, and then I wrote, communicate the change with your long term customers, and give extra discount if they book the whole year. So like honor what they're paying now. Say actually 13 quid a session, you can lock that in for a whole year if you do X payment plan, or you pay the year in full. And the other way you can do it is you can communicate with them and say, I want to reward your loyalty. You've been with me from the beginning. I can send you a great podcast with this, and I will, of a guy talking about how to do it. Price changes podcast. But then so you can say, you can either do it by honoring a price for a set period longer. You have to say, obviously, I can't do it forever. I can't keep honoring this £13 a session, because I'm going to have new people coming in willing to pay £20 a session. But you can say that for them, you will honor the price for 6 months, for 1 year. And that leaves them feeling quite exclusive as well. If they've got cheaper forest school than everybody else, that's a nice feeling. And another way you can do it is say that you get this extra thing for free, or you get, you get access to my free family day, or you get my, forest school at home online course, or whatever it might be. You can give them free value, or you can, honor the price with them, and just have a really upfront conversation. Don't suddenly change the prices unexpectedly. Give them a bit of warning and say, I'm reviewing. It's better than saying I'm reviewing my prices. It's better to say I'm reviewing the business model, and I'm reviewing the offer of the home education forest school. So things might be changing a little bit. Prices might change. What I offer might change. I'm just letting you know, and I welcome your input on anything you'd like. If they feel like they're involved in the process as well, it's really good. And like you say, it's not a bad thing if some customers go, this is too expensive, I'm off. And then you get people that are willing to pay the new price without any issues. So it's always hard to lose customers over price, but it does happen. And at the end of the day, you've got a family to support and a house to support and everything. And it's not that you're being greedy and you've seen there's an opportunity to make a ton more money off them. It's that literally right now I'm making, less than £1,000 a month, and it's not supporting me, and I'm having to, delve into these other things to be able to keep it going. And I want this to be a self-sustaining thing. So.
Yeah, the two things I hear very often is there's no advantage to being the second lowest price. And the other one is that unless you've got a portion of people telling you you're too expensive, you're probably too cheap.
Yeah. Yeah, and I like that there's no advantage to being the second cheapest on the market, but there's a huge advantage to being the most expensive on the market. There's another option as well. Yeah, so many great things. And I'm obsessed with pricing and value and marketing and how we package our stuff up now. I just think it's so interesting. Yeah, and my last thought on pricing, because I'm aware we've got like 15 minutes, so I want to rattle through everything else. And we can run over a little bit if you have time to run over. With the pricing, if we can nail it and we to be honest, if we nail the pricing, even if we lose capacity on the programs, we'll still be better off. Like the example I gave you earlier of the hotel, renting no rooms out, we were better than renting one room out, or anything like that. It was such a weird situation. And I think that's where pricing can get so nuanced and interesting, is that actually if you have 10 slots, 4 people drop out, but the 6 have better profit margins, it's better to keep the 6.
Yeah,
and if
I did that kind of at the start of the year. I actually dropped the numbers in the group, but raised the prices.
Yeah,
and it worked out well, better.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, it's so true. And if we can fix the prices and then fill the programs, all you have to do then to increase your salary is add volume. And that's the amazing thing. Like if you know that every home ed session you run makes X in profit and it works really well and everyone's really happy, you just got to do more of it because it's working. And I think the problem that a lot of business owners find, especially forest school leaders, is they kind of stack unprofitable things on top of each other, hoping they become a salary collectively in themselves. When actually, if we can do a thing where we make the one thing work really well and then just add volume, it could be amazing. And I think that's my real hope for you, is that we find the one we get it done. Yeah. And I want to just plant the seed. I'm going to recommend you two books to go away and read. I'll tell you about that in a minute. But just to plant two words in your head, I think with the home ed community, your two most powerful things is referrals and affiliates. And I'll recommend you a book that goes into that in huge detail. But home ed communities are really tight knit. So if you can get people to refer other people, that would be amazing. Especially if with your new pricing, you say to parents at different points, you're like, hey, do you know anyone else that's home educating that would enjoy this forest school in the Birmingham area? And they say, oh, yes, we do. You say, I'll tell you what, if you get them to come to one of our sessions, I'm going to give you guys a month of free forest school, or something like that. Or I'll send you back a month's worth of money that I took, in payment. Some kind of really juicy incentive to get other people to book on. And people they refer, they also get a deal. So it's a double-ended deal. So the people that make the referral get some kind of reward, and the people that come in from the outside also get a reward. So like an introductory rate, for the first month, you get this other thing free, or you get this little bit of money off, or whatever it might be. I think in the home ed community, that's going to be amazing. And similarly, affiliates is other businesses that you might be able to affiliate with as Bracken Outdoors that bring each other business. So, for example, home ed communities that have other services and other opportunities, you could team up, you could share things, to each other's social media, whatever it might be. But I think that really is the most powerful tool if you work with home educated groups and home education, is referrals and affiliates, because they're such tight-knit communities that they can bring you new customers. So yeah, I'll just plant that seed while I see it on my notes. Right.
With the number of seeds planted, I'm going to get a forest burst out of my head.
Yeah, I'm planting many seeds. Yeah. And this is worth saying as well that when you have a consultation with me, the information is yours forever. So not only will you have your action plan, but you can always hit me up for free to go over anything again. That's like one of my big things about my consultation, is that if we discuss something you don't remember what it was about or the context, just hit me up again and we can talk about it. So if there's so many ideas in your head at this point, then if you see something down the line or remember something, we can come back to it. It's no problem. So so powering on then. Bloody hell, I've still got quite a bit to go. Here we go. So I'm going to rattle through this really fast. The conservation session. I'm only going to touch on this extremely briefly, but I think you probably think this too. The conservation session is your safety net. I think we could treat the conservation session as your guaranteed income.
It's a regular income that happens no matter what. It's what's kept me afloat during difficult periods, because there's not a lot going into it, and it's a regular bit of money coming out.
Exactly. And we talked about this in the check-in a little bit, but I think 120 quid a day is a little bit too cheap, and I would try and negotiate 150. And maybe more if you could. Hey, if you can get more from them by doing more or whatever, then let's do it. But this is exactly what I wrote under this. So I said, the conservation session, let's treat this as a safety net and get it to £150 a day. And then I've written, these are like questions I wrote basically to ask you, but they're more to just plant a seed. How could we do that? What extra value could you add potentially that would increase the price in line with their budget, funding, and what you can offer that would get you a higher salary? And if they can't honour any pay rise, and I know you love working outside, so this might be controversial to say, but I would say that actually 120 a day, where we're going with our pricing and everything, and I want you to have a really good day rate because you deserve it, I would consider having a different safety net of some kind. Because I've obviously been living in Norway for 18 months now, but like the minimum wage in England now is £11.30 an hour or something. And like I feel like when I left England, it was like still under a tenner. And I think like actually to make £120 a day, you don't have to do very much when the minimum wage is £11 an hour. And it might be that as a safety net, there's a different job you could do 1 day a week, even for minimum wage or close to minimum wage, that would be less stress, less admin, less organizing, something like that. You might love the conservation and everything else. So it's just to play devil's advocate a little bit. If we are thinking of it as a safety net, I want us to try and get the numbers up a little bit if we can, through long-term commitment, through what you can add, through what you can offer, through their budgets, things like that. Yeah.
What a lot of people overlook when they're kind of comparing things like that is like, actually that £11 an hour, it isn't £11 an hour. It's closer to 14, 15 if you work in holiday, sick pay, and all of the other ancillary benefits that you have to provide yourself.
Yeah,
So,
exactly,
yeah,
exactly.
yeah.
Yeah.
It's
So I'm
I
just
was
shocked.
yeah. Go ahead.
I was just to say when I started working as an unqualified teacher, my starting pay was £11 an hour. That was 5 years ago. That is crazy. Yeah. So that was just the seed I was planting on that one.
Yeah.
And your I can't remember the context of this. I've written family forest school. That's your sessions you do now and then for a whole day, isn't it? With another leader,
So,
is it? It wasn't another leader.
so it typically has two different have target markets and workups. So sometimes it's for those for my regular sessions. So if there's like 5 Wednesdays in a month, I'll go, hey, why don't we have an extra day and we'll spend the whole day out there in summer. It's really nice. Let's have an opportunity for you guys to come and spend some time out, whole day out in the woods. We can really relax, we can cook some good food, etc. And then there's also, okay, come to this whole day family event during the half term. So all of those people that you've seen the great stuff that I do, come on in and we'll spend the day in the woods together, even if children are normally in school.
Yeah. Nice, fantastic. That's really good. So I couldn't remember what I wrote that in context, but I've written family forest school, raise the price to at least £35. So you are extremely cheap for a family forest school day at 30 quid.
Yeah, I was. Yeah, it's fluctuated a bit. I originally was like year and a half, 2 years ago. I was at about 25 per child, and then
Yeah.
that was for a family bushcraft day, and then the kind of flow into that session dropped drastically, and they were no longer financially viable. And I think I probably approached it from the way that a lot of people do when something doesn't work. Oh, I must be too expensive, and drop the price. And I think I'm kind of still rolling with that idea rather than going, okay, where's the market? And kind of talking with you is getting that idea that the marketing needs to be, you need to look at the marketing first and go, okay, well, why is my cell not working here?
Yeah, exactly. And people are skeptical of stuff that's too cheap. That's one thing. And also the pitch that you just gave to me, that it's like, hey, this is a much more relaxed, this is a full day in the woods. We got food, we got drink, we got like, that's all value you're throwing out there, to add to the price and add to the price. And I think is it £35 or is it £30 per family, or is it £30 per child that you price it at?
Per child.
Per child. So then I would go at least £35 per child per day. But if a family has more than one child, you give a family discount. So it's like, for example, if we went the top line, so it's £45 a child for this action-packed day with food and drink and everything included. But if you come as a family, it's 70 quid. And you can bring as many siblings as you like in your family. Or maybe you don't say that in case they bring friends and stuff as well. But it's like for the family is 70 quid. So it's like an incentive to bring more, because actually my experience of working at Forest School Family Days is actually it's much better to organize it per family than per child, because I ran one and I said, no, we need maximum 10 children in the Forest School session. And it was actually a bit weird because some families bought 3 kids, some bought 2. It was all kind of a bit strange. And actually, I should have said 10 families, because when you've got parents and everything helping, you can have more volume if the woodland can support it, because there's enough adults, So yeah, it's in your benefit to have whole families there for the extra income.
Again, this was recognizing kind of flawed thinking here. So and consequences. So if as I was reducing the cost, because then I had to make a certain amount to make it all work, I was going, well, I can't offer a sibling discount or a family discount because this is my base level. I can't go any lower than this price. Whereas now thinking higher price, I can actually, obviously it's better to get one person at full price and one person at 75% than one person at full price.
Yeah.
So it's kind of thinking of things differently. Yeah, that's a good point.
I like that you're good. Yeah, and you have compared to other Forest School leaders I work with, you have a much better understanding of pricing and value and marketing, and that stuff. So it's a bit like preaching to you, but it's really good that it's like reminding you of stuff and getting you think about things again. And
so sometimes we're the worst to take your own advice, and sometimes just hearing it from someone else and going, well, actually, yeah, I do have an option. Yeah.
So one more thing on pricing, and we've talked in great length about this. It's been awesome. The holiday club. If you were going to run whole school holiday long clubs or whole week long clubs, which I think you should do, by the way, if it's profitable and it works, especially with a co-leader and everything. You might need to find a different co-leader that doesn't have kids and responsibilities and stuff. But if that's really profitable and works great for everyone involved, and it fully books and people want more of it, give them more. So either look at 1 day a week through the holidays, or the whole week, a couple of weeks of the holidays, or a whole half term long, or something like that. But the only thing to say on that is, if you go for that route, get that bulk pricing model on that holiday club as well, because parents desperately looking for something for their kids to do. If it's 40 quid a day, and it's 200 quid for 5 days, then you say, but hey, if you book all 5 days, you save 25%, or whatever it might be, And if that isn't viable for you to offer, then raise the individual price to incentivize the long-term booking. So actually, if you can't make money by reducing it that much, then instead raise the price to £45, £49 per day, and then sell them but it's only 40 quid a day if you book with the bulk pricing. And you can do exactly the same, this much discount if you pay the whole week up front, this much discount if you pay per day, this much if you per holiday, whatever it might be.
And there we go. That is the end of that section. I think that's a good place to stop here. So we've talked quite a bit about pricing. I think the main takeaways here is looking at price anchoring, setting that structure up so that people know what value they are getting before you start applying discounts, and applying discounts for good reasons, and really making sure that you are pricing everything according to the value you deliver. So that is really valuable. I hope you will be taking some of that away, and it will prove useful for you. We have one more episode to go with this Forest School Support series, and then which will take us pretty much halfway through January, and I'll also then be able to show you and tell you about some of the changes that I've made and how they have initially turned out. Because I'm right in the middle of it. Based on this discussion, I went through and I redesigned all of my pricing models, got it all set up, worked out the discounts and everything else, worked out a way to apply it to Bookwin, which was a major pain, and then launched it. So it is launched, is there waiting for the bookings in the new year. So we'll get into how that's been doing and everything else a little bit later in the year. As I said, Part 5, final part, is still to come, so keep an eye out for that next week. And then we should be back to our regular videos and so on, starting on Saturday. So thank you so much for watching and listening. Remember to make the most of every day, and I'll catch you all next time.